because there have been clusters of cases across the province. One, it's probably that this has been going on for quite a while because there have been clusters of cases across the province of Ituri, in northeast Congo. As you know, 80 deaths, including 4 healthcare workers. That doesn't happen, overnight, probably since March. Secondly, as you mentioned, there are 2 cases in Kampala. They're not connected. There's 1 case diagnosed in Kinshasa, and now also 1 case in Goma, according to Professor Muyembe, who's really one of the leaders in the world dealing with this. And then I would say, let's not forget, this is a region with high insecurity, high population mobility. And finally, as you mentioned, this is an unusual strain of Ebola virus, an unusual species. It's called Bundibugyo. And, we have no proven vaccines, no proven treatment. So it has all the elements for a much larger outbreak than what we have.
So, Dr. Piet, you're less worried for the world, you're very worried for the region. You mentioned Ituri, this is the epicenter in the DRC, the epicenter of this outbreak. A question about containment, given the security situation in the DRC, as you pointed out a moment ago, this is a very volatile region. There have been deadly clashes there between rival militia groups. So from a public health perspective, I mean, what can public health workers do to improve containment efforts given the violence and the security situation there?
Yeah, first of all, I should say that Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, has some really top expertise dealing with Ebola outbreaks, led by Professor Muyembe. And so the technical expertise...
Yeah, some people are bringing up around COVID. And within 2018 to 2022, I know there was a huge concern, Doctors Without Borders and a lot of people who work within those healthcare fields, people from all over the world. Right, so when you have certain organizations such as Doctors Without Borders or the Red Cross or different things like that, and certain vaccines or things being purposely contaminated so they could blame, oh yeah, there's an outbreak. People aren't vaccinating, they're causing outbreaks, as opposed to acknowledging what the outbreaks are being caused from. They wanted to ignore, remember back 2006, 7, 8, 9 with the Botox and stem cells, and then they ignore, and then all of a sudden the Botox is more promoted for migraines and wrinkles now, and take stem cells. Yeah, fuck the Botox, get the right from the umbilical cords, get the human stuff if you can. And it's insane. It's absolute fucking insanity. So they ignore all that, and then they spike things with contaminated vaccines in certain areas, and then get those experts to, rise of concern of spread of infectious disease. Insane. Absolutely insane, sad and scary as to how many people have been killed with their little fucking stunt jobs.
Is there. What now
big deal,
huh? Is that can they operate in the region, providing with, in the first place, protective gear for healthcare workers, because otherwise it's going to be really a major massacre of healthcare workers, as we've seen before. Will there be diagnostics, etc.? So this will require also support from outside for tools. And WHO has started doing that, and I think that it has to be clear that if there are warring militias and so on, that they stop and fighting with each other, and that there is room for this type of response, because we know what to do, even
right.
If it's...
And then they won't report on it. They don't want to scare people with the outbreak, and then it turns into scaring people with the outbreak. Only they try to blame it on other things. Right. And it's so funny those outbreaks. Yeah, we don't want to scare them. And then they put out the fear propaganda. It's like they do a flip-flop so quick, don't they? Yeah, it's insane. They have to get to their Botox or stem cell appointment. don't forget your extra creamy cow tit bacteria infested latte on the way.
Type of virus. But we also need to make sure that we test out how the current vaccines that exist for Ebola will work, and all the treatment.
Health officials insisting that this will not be another pandemic, that there's no threat to public safety, but still tonight, many are anxious, and we are bringing in now former HHS Assistant Secretary.
Good morning. Yeah, we're going to be reading in a little bit. Yeah, there were some more articles there, but we weren't going to do any. We just decided to grab onto that one and respond to it. Yeah, absolutely insane. Really sad when you think about it.
Your time matters. Your peace of mind does.
At the Maine Bureau of Parks and Lands will say this on record, but I will. On the 14th of October, 2019, a 900-pound GPS-collared bull moose was found on the Musquecook gravel bar with its chest opened from above by a single perpendicular point of force and its heart, lungs, and liver removed without a drop of blood on the ground. And 11 days later, the Park Service closed 47 miles of northern corridor and told us it was wildlife management. My name is Don Pelletier. I am 44 years old, and I live outside Ashland, Maine, on a dirt road off Route 11 that gets 6 cars a day in summer, and sometimes none at all in January. I have worked as a backcountry patrol ranger for the Maine Bureau of Parks and Lands for 19 years, assigned to the Allagash Wilderness Waterway District, Northern Corridor, between Telos Lake and the Churchill Dam. That is a stretch of boreal forest, bog, and Blackwater Lake that most people in the state of Maine have never seen and could not find on a road atlas. I can walk significant sections of it in the dark. I hold the record, unofficially, for the most consecutive years without a single incident report returned for revision. The wildlife biologists at the Augusta Field Office call me before they call anyone else when they need accurate field data from the upper waterway. I am not telling you this to establish my credentials. I am telling you this because what I am about to describe is going to be hard to accept, and I want you to understand what kind of person you are accepting it from. I signed a piece of paper in December of 2019 that I have decided I no longer care about. Here is what happened. On the 14th of October 2019, at 6:47 inches the morning, the Vectronic base unit on the south wall of the Chamberlain Bridge station began pinging a mortality alert. The collar was 3 Foxtrot 22, fitted to a GPS-collared bull moose designated Granite, 880 pounds, mature bull, collared in August of 2017, as part of a cooperative ungulate study between the Bureau of Parks and Lands and the University of Maine School of Wildlife Sciences. I had fitted that collar myself. I had been tracking Granite's movements for 2.5 years, logging his seasonal routes, his fall rutting range, his winter yard, his summer bog preferences. I knew his routes better than I knew the roads between Ashland and Millinocket. A collar in mortality mode, stationary for 4 or more hours, triggers a mandatory site response. That is the protocol. I checked the GPS coordinates against my district map. Upper Musquecook drainage, approximately 12.3 miles north of the station. I have walked that section of the drainage many times, including twice in the dark during breeding season monitoring. I packed my field kit, filled my thermos with the rest of the morning's coffee, and drove the station truck north on the logging road. The logging road from the station gives out at the 14 at 2 mile marker. From there, it is a 4-mile hike to the upper Musquecook gravel bars across mixed terrain, a hardwood ridgeline that runs northeast for about 1.5 miles, then drops into a spruce and fir basin that opens onto the bog margin, then 0.5 mile along the bar itself. In good conditions, it is a pleasant walk. On the 14th of October 2019, there was a low fog that had come down the night before and had not burned off. Not the thin fog that sits in hollows and lifts by 9. A solid cold fog that sat at about 15 feet above the ground and made the birch trunks ahead of me fade into grey at 40 feet. I walked in with my headlamp on low, which I normally don't need after first light. I smelled it before I got to the bar. I want to spend some time on this because it matters. I have walked up on animal kills in the field more times than I can count. Bear kills, coyote work, accidental drowning in the bog margins, natural winter mortality. I know what the smell of a large mammal death is in cold air. The iron heaviness of blood, the beginning of breakdown, the smell of a thing that was warm and is now cooling. That smell is in my memory as distinctly as the smell of diesel or coffee. I could identify it in total darkness at 20 feet. This was not that. I was 40 feet from the bar when I stopped walking. The smell that reached me in the fog was copper, yes, but not blood copper. Something more metallic, more clean, like the inside of a running engine or a substation in rain. The electrical version of copper, the kind that suggests energy rather than viscera. And under that, layered below it, something warm, not body warm, not the fading warmth of a cooling carcass. Something that should not have been warm at all in 31-degree air. I stood in the fog with the birch trunks disappearing in both directions, and I breathed that smell, and I waited. Not because I was afraid, not yet, but because something in the back of my head was telling me to pay attention. That part of me was right. There were no ravens overhead. In the upper Musquecook drainage in October, a 900-pound carcass is a broadcast signal to everything in a 3-mile radius that has feathers and a nose for death. By this point in the morning, 4 or 5 hours post-mortality, I should have been able to hear ravens before I could see them, and I should have been able to see them before I got within 0.5 mile of the bar. I had heard nothing. The sky above the fog was silent, not a single raven call across the entire upper drainage. I made note of this in my field notebook. No avian activity at approach. 0800 hours. October 14. I walked to the bar. Granite was on his side near the west bank of the drainage, in the shallow water at the edge of the gravel, 3 or 4 inches deep. His collar was still fitted, the red mortality light blinking steadily in the fog. His hide was intact on the side facing up, the east side. No visible wounds. No disruption of the gravel around him. No churned pebbles. No drag marks. No vegetation broken or pressed flat that would indicate a struggle. His legs were tucked forward, the way a large animal goes down when it drops quickly without a fight, when the body gives out before the muscles have time to react. Whatever killed Granite, it had killed him fast. I worked the accessible side for 20 minutes before I moved him. Photographed the collar, the surrounding gravel in a 20-foot radius, the fog margin at the tree lines on both sides of the bar. Then I suited up with my examination gloves, worked my pry bar under his shoulder, and with the help of a section of alder I cut from the bank for additional leverage, I rolled him. I took one photograph. Then I stood up and stepped back and looked at what I had found. The underside of Granite's chest had been opened. I need you to understand what I mean by this and what I do not mean. I do not mean that a predator had worked the carcass from the belly, which is how most large predators access the organs of a large mammal. I do not mean that the hide had been torn or bitten or clawed away from the ribs. I mean that the sternum, the breastbone, had been penetrated by a single point of force applied from above, straight down, perpendicular to the bone. The entry wound was approximately 9 inches across at its widest. The edges of the wound were folded inward toward the chest cavity. Folded, not torn. The way you fold the lid of a cardboard box down with even, deliberate pressure applied across the whole surface. The bone at the entry edges had been pressed in rather than cracked or splintered. The force required to do that to a mature bull moose sternum, applied in a single motion from above, perpendicular, is not a force I can assign to any animal I am trained to identify. The chest cavity was empty. Heart, lungs, liver, gone, not partially consumed and abandoned, not scattered in a blood trail across the bar. Gone. I extended my search radius to 60 feet in every direction from the carcass. No organ debris, no significant blood pool. A 900-pound bull moose carries approximately 15 litres of blood. I found, in the wet gravel beneath the entry wound, perhaps a cup's worth. I photographed the chest for 40 minutes. Every angle, every edge of the wound. I measured the entry aperture with my field tape. 9 inches at the widest point, 4 1/4 at the narrowest. The depth of force required to accomplish this, based on the angle of bone deflection inward, was substantial in a way I cannot quantify without a materials engineer. But I can tell you that when I pressed my thumb against the edge of the folded bone and pushed, it did not move. It had been set in that position by something. I wrote in my field notebook, single point of entry, perpendicular force, superior aspect, approximate aperture, 9 by 4.25 inches, bone deflection inward, no tearing at margins, cavity completely cleared, no organ debris at sight, no significant blood presence. Then I stood up and called the station. The time was 9:22 a.m. The station line rang 4 times and went to hold. In 19 years, I had never been put on hold by my own station. The hold lasted 11 minutes and 14 seconds. I watched the clock on my phone increment every second of it. I was standing on the gravel bar next to Granite's carcass, with the smell still in the back of my throat and the fog pressing in from every direction. And I watched my phone clock tick through 11 minutes, while nothing happened. When Terry Bouchard picked up, he sounded like a man who had just been told something he was still processing. He asked if I was safe, and I said yes, and he told me to stay on site and not move anything. I told him I had already moved the carcass to examine the underside, and he said that was fine, and I should document everything I'd done. I asked him who was coming, and he said he was working on getting me more information on that. Working on getting me more information. Not I'll find out. Not I'm not sure. Working on getting it. As if the information existed somewhere, and was being routed through channels he did not normally access. I stood on the Musquecook gravel bar for the next 3.5 hours. I walked the perimeter 3 times, taking notes. The only tracks I found were my own boot prints, Granite's hoof prints from recent days in the softer margins, and 2 sets of raccoon tracks near the waterline that were at least 24 hours old. No large predator tracks anywhere on the bar. No claw marks on the vegetation at the bar margins. No disturbance in the gravel I could not account for. The ravens did not come, not in 3.5 hours. The 2 men arrived at 12:44 p.m. They came from the north, from the direction of the upper watershed, which meant they had not used the logging road I had taken. They were moving at a pace that said they knew the terrain. Both wore green field clothes, no insignia, no main bureau patches, no warden service patches, no.
Introducing the boldest cheese-it crunch. Chop on my cheddar, cause I'm gonna be jalapeno.
All the haters can kiss my ass. Let me guess.
Well, hello, and listen. Well, New York Magazine claims there was a time when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call...
Okay.
Well, hello, everybody. You know, sometimes here on the Ben Shapiro Show, we cover the news, and sometimes we
Look
are
at those
the news
eyebrows.
here at the Daily Wire.
Wow.
Well, over the past few weeks, the Daily Wire, you might have noticed, has been the subject of a bunch of hit pieces, like a veritable cornucopia of hit pieces. There was one from the Washington Post, and there was one from Puck, and then, finally, there was an especially ridiculous one from the stellar journalists at New York Magazine. who literally plagiarized their hit piece from the Washington Post.
Wow.
So much journalisming, high-level journalisming. Well, this morning, that New York Magazine piece is lighting up the interwebs. It's lighting up X. Well, New York Magazine claims there was a time when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call himself the king of all conservative media. I don't remember that time.
Do you think that his viewership keeps going down? He should make the hat smaller. It's like a power level indicator. Like if like his subscribers go under like a certain amount, like it should get like nerfed. It's like, you know, in Dragon Ball Z, where it's like, okay, well, how much hair they have? That's like, you know, Super Saiyan 2 or 3. It's like, holy shit, right?
But sounds cool. So that's all over now. The Daily Wire is instituting significant.
When on August 13th, 2024,
Well, according to New York Magazine, the future of conservatism isn't traditional conservatism. You know, like free market.
Mobilize all available police officers.
Anybody who saw these guys, you please go over
While EMS was still on their way, responding officers performed CPR on the victim, 17-year-old Gage Anderson, who was shot in the head but still gasping for air. With no trace of the suspect, officers began securing the area and speaking to witnesses, soon also speaking to the victim's father, who was a direct witness to the shooting.
Is there anyone that can log on right now?
No, sir. We're not allowed to.
I'm going to call him and see if they'll let me log on and try and, because, I mean, it's a homicide, so the faster we get this...
he didn't make it?
I mean, he's... I think he shot in the head.
At the same time, 1 mile from the crime scene, officers were dispatched to a home linked to a vehicle witnesses described as that of the suspect, hoping that they could secure an arrest there.
You go with Dodgel. You guys take that left one. I'll hold your right. You clear the left one first. Take it all. I got the door. Take it all. Yeah. Police! You guys getting gold, green, paper.
Surprisingly, the suspect was not only seen driving around the area of the crime scene, but even driving up to his home address, where multiple officers were already waiting for exactly this scenario.
He's coming through. Hands! Shoot your fucking hands! Show me your fucking hands! I will shoot you! I will shoot you! He's coming back southbound. He's coming back southbound. Stay right there. Stay right there. He's going east. He's right there on the ground. He's on the ground. Behind you. Stop right now. Stop right now. Get him on the ground. Punch him in the fucking face. Get him out.
One thing a lot of people do, myself included, is put off doctor's appointments longer than they should. Calling offices, sitting on hold, trying to find someone who actually takes your insurance. It turns into a chore, so people delay it. That's where ZocDoc, today's video sponsor, comes in. ZocDoc is a free website that lets you search and compare local, in-network doctors all in one place. You can read verified patient reviews, see real appointment availability, and instantly book online.
What makes it useful is the convenience. Appointments are often available within 24 to 72 hours. You avoid calling multiple offices and you can handle everything in just a few minutes. And I think that's the biggest reason people avoid dealing with health issues in the first place. Not fear, but friction. ZocDoc removes that friction by putting everything in one place and making the process straightforward. Whether it's finding a new doctor, booking a checkup you've delayed for months, or finally getting something looked at that's been bothering you, it genuinely makes the process easier to deal with. You deserve to find a qualified specialist to get actual answers for what's been bothering you. So, if there's an appointment you've been delaying, head to ZocDoc.com/mindofacriminal or click the link in the description to get started. Thanks so much to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video and helping us all take better care of our health. Approximately 15 minutes after the first 911 calls, officers arrested 30-year-old Skylar Burnley in connection to the shooting, soon also arresting his girlfriend, who was a passenger during the incident. While officers at the crime scene were compiling witness statements, the gravity of the situation slowly set in when the tragic fate of the victim, Gage Anderson, became known. With multiple direct witnesses to the shooting and both the murder suspect and his girlfriend arrested and taken to the Columbus Police Department, detectives aimed to understand the events that led to the death of 17-year-old Gage Anderson and the exact involvement of the suspects.
All right. A whole bunch of stuff happened tonight. We've got a lot of people said this happened, that happened. We're still collecting all that information. Yes, sir. They're telling me their side of the story. I need to get Skylar's side of the story.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is your opportunity to tell me what happened and why. When did this start?
I'm going towards the gas station. I just bought some Taco Bell for my daughter.
Okay.
Going towards the gas station. The gentleman cuts me off. We end up going to the same spot. I hop out, dude in the passenger side, talking like I say disrespectful, threatening. So
How do you mean?
Saying he's going to take me. So I got the car and I talked to the driver and I told the driver like that I don't basically tell him I don't want no problems, basically letting him know that it wasn't cool. He only heard both of us. Dude get offended that's in the passenger side. He jumps out at me and starts swinging. So the first thing I did was I didn't shoot him.
Okay.
But I was terrified for myself and I was defending myself.
Okay. Do you remember how many times you shot?
Once.
Once. Do you know where he was struck?
I do not.
Okay.
Everybody knows that the place to find a place is a
Police.com.
Booking.com.
Yeah, some in class are reiterating they go through these situations. Yeah, the education about security and surveillance. Right, and other things too. Instead of putting the training out there, just like with guns, instead of putting out the proper education for people as to things that do exist, like the security and surveillance, educating them, letting them know that exists. You're not going to get away with what they're telling you. You're going to get away with it. And you have all these people that want them to think they can get away with it. I know when you see that, right? So instead of educating them about it, it's try to stop it. No, invasion of privacy. Stop. We got to stop that. So you have all these people. Yeah, fight, stop. It's like, no, it's already here. We got to educate them as to how it does exist so they don't fall for doing shit that they think they're going to get away with. Or even become engaged in that thinking, right, if they understand the level of security and surveillance, and we're educated as to the dangers of getting into those kind of altercations and just pulling out a weapon because you feel threatened, right? Just those kind of mindsets and then acting upon it, how easily those simple classes can really help prevent a lot of that. But they didn't want to do that. They wanted to medicate them, get them to fear the security and surveillance. Stop it. It's already here. Same thing with the guns. Instead of proper no, we got to get rid of them. Get rid of the gun. Insane. And everybody gets all in an uproar about it. And as you can see, the forerunners in those positions all heavily talk about those issues. Yeah, they're trying to take your guns. Gonna make you eat maggots. You just gotta do some psychedelics, man, and try to figure out how they made the pyramid. Yeah, it gets so fucking sickening and old, doesn't it? I agree.
Because they were both like bickering back and forth, and they went to the gas station, and then from there.
Okay.
So I'm telling him, go on, let's go, we're gonna go take the food to our daughter, she's hungry, like, road rage, it's not worth it, this is how, let's go. Because when he gets mad, there's nothing I can do,
Did you guys almost hit each other or anything like that?
No, that's why I was confused, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
In a later interview, the suspect's girlfriend explained that, surprisingly, they were not even cut off in traffic, but rather, Skylar himself brake-checked the victim and then snapped when he was flipped off. Adding to the inconsistencies in Skylar's version of events, the father of the victim, who was driving the vehicle, explained that they were confused about the exact reason for the road rage. Trying to de-escalate the situation, they attempted to get away, with the suspect even pointing a handgun at the driver's side while following them. On their way to the UDF, the victim called 911, since Skylar was driving after them for multiple miles until he eventually forced contact at the UDF.
What did he actually say to you? What did you say to him first? What made him respond to you with words?
I wasn't talking to him. That's where I'm like, keep it real, like, confused why he got so, like, I would say, like, I feel like he was already agitated, and I feel like by me telling her, like, it's basically messed over, he took the offense.
What were your exact words, man?
He was gonna kill both of us.
And the driver responded how?
He looked over to dude, and that's when dude just, I wish I could show you the way it was.
Okay.
The way Skylar paints the altercation fits his self-proclaimed passive and self-defensive reaction. Multiple witness statements, however, highlight a stark contrast between the actual sequence of events and what Skylar told detectives. It was reported that during the altercation, the only words uttered were by Skylar when he approached the passenger side of the vehicle, as the victim was opening the door. Skylar then baited the victim out of the car when he attempted to punch him in the face. Before anything even got physical, Skylar shot at the victim after he tried to lunge at him, the bullet fatally hitting 17-year-old Gage Anderson in the head. Following the shooting, Skylar immediately drove off from the crime scene. While going back over the security footage, detectives noted that during the altercation, Skylar meticulously put one hand in his front pocket of the hoodie when he later pulled out his handgun. This small but crucial detail suggested that Skylar was acting with full intent, approaching the vehicle and only waiting for a moment to use his handgun.
A lot more. These are like snap kind of sporadic situations. Yeah, you're talking about another level when you get into that stuff. Suspects on the
run. By the time I get to the place to call you guys, it was already like 30, 20 cars pulling up.
Okay. And you went into that house?
Yeah,
as long as they deserve
Is that your address?
That was the mother of my child's sister.
Okay. And
that's what I found and pulled up to.
Okay. And once you got there, what did you do?
Once I got there, I basically walked back and forth with the helicopter, started a circle. And then I got into her sister's car, heading back up there. I go back, so many police officers, like 20, 30 KRs.
Right.
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm scared.
I know how we got.
Yeah, I ran. I actually ran, and I on the phone with my child. She was like, "You're not doing it besides making first." So I came back.
Contrary to Skylar's claims of willing to turn himself in, his actual motives were proven to be the complete opposite.
All right, the shooting occurs, then what happens?
Then that's when I say stay there, stay there. He rushes to my sister's house, and I'm telling him, turn yourself in, like our baby and everything, like you need to turn yourself in. And then next thing you know, when he did, though, I went outside inside for like 2 times. Talking about, I love you, I'm sorry, I love you, and then he took off, and he died, I love you, I'm sorry. And you guys were outside.
Right after the shooting, Skylar rushed from the UDF to his girlfriend's sister's house, with Skylar's first words being that he messed up and had to go. At the house, Jacqueline Wiseman, the girlfriend's sister, helped Skylar change clothes, cut his hair, remove the license plate of his car, and hide the murder weapon in a crawl space. During this time, a neighbour, noticing the commotion and suspicious behaviour, called 911, a key event which helped with the eventual arrest of Skylar.
I mean,
Believing
that's
that he was
just
ready
how
to make an
easily
escape,
someone,
Skylar was
yeah,
handing the keys to
you
his
gotta
girlfriend's sister's
respect,
vehicle and
you
sped
gotta
off, noticing the
respect
helicopters were already
someone,
above.
protecting their own, right? Yeah, I mean, he just murdered a 17-year-old kid in a parking lot. And now they're helping him cut his hair. As opposed to calling the cops and saying, yeah, this sick motherfucker just shot an innocent person and they expect us to try to help him get away with it. How dare you rat on your family? I can't work with anybody. No, I'm sorry, I'm hanging up. I can't work with anybody that's going to rat on their family. What's the matter with you? You help him cut his hair and get away with this. That's family. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You sick fucks. Augusta, Maine. My name is Mary. I have 4 children here, and my youngest 2 are in the hands of sick murderous pedophiles. They make child and animal pornography. It's already done. It's already been fed out. The concerns have already been shown. It's already done. The kids are already fucked, injected, tortured, abused. The abuse videos and microchips have already been sold. The chasers and investigators have already been investigating and watching and trying to find the producers for years. You want to help these kids in the hands of their fucking abusers, or you want to keep playing your fucking games? Simple question. Okay, much love, health, and peace to you. We're going to reading class. You're more than welcome to join us. You're welcome. Thank you.